Ladies, welcome to another Aviation Women panel. Virtual Ops 2020 season is almost over. This is the last session of the season, and it's a very special one because we have another great panel discussion with female leaders, future female leaders, and power women all over the world. It's a big pleasure to have you today. I'm your moderator and your guest, Daniel Stecher is my name, from IBS Software, Vice President Airline Operations. And we had already fantastic three earlier Aviation Women panel. So today again, we are going to have an open debate, discussion about all topics around female leadership, but also maybe talking a little bit more about the Old Boys Club in aviation. And before we start the general discussion, I suggest that we are starting again with an introduction round. And today we are starting with Jazenka in London, please.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. So happy to join you this time. And I am founder of Astute Aviation Consulting, and I am the author as well. I like to blog about things I do. I work for airlines for many years, different type of airlines, different people, different cultures, different environments. So I'm just happy to share with you my experiences from my work life.
Going further to India, Santya.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be back again. I think last session I had missed. And then I'm Sandhya. I'm from IBS. And it's like 20 years now with IBS. It's a long, long time. And before that, I was into teaching. And now in IBS, I'm into change management, product documentation, e-learning, and all those areas. Anyway, great to be part of this session. And again, looking forward to a great session. Thank you.
Let's go further westbound. We have a new joinee, Amineth. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Emi Sepúlveda. I'm based in Querétaro, Mexico, and I've been working for GE for some 20 years or a little bit more. It's not always been in aviation. I have been around the industries in power and industrial systems, but all my career has been with GE. And I'm very glad that I was invited to this forum. Thank you.
So you're in Mexico, you're not in the US. Okay, but now let's go to the US. Let's go to Maria.
Hello, good morning. My name is Maria Jaramillo. I'm originally from Colombia, but based in Miami, and I work for Lufthansa Technik since 10 years. Great to be here again.
Yeah. Fatima, Portugal, please.
Hi, Amber, how are you? My name is Fatima, and I've been working for the aviation industry around 10 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years. Before that, I've been also always working in multinationals for IT, in this case for business intelligence and advanced analytics. And in the area of aviation industry, I've been working with CETA for some years, and also for another startup that has been doing also applications in business intelligence and advanced analytics as well to the aviation and air transport industry. That is my experience for more than 25 years, I would say.
Let's go to Australia, Lakshmi. You are muted.
Lakshmi, you're muted.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like struggling with the mute button. So yeah, I'm Lakshmi. I was with IBS for nearly 4 years. Now I'm in Australia. I'm doing my master's in business administration. Yeah, I joined the third aviation panel, so this is my second one. So I'm looking forward to having a great discussion today.
Let's go to Canada. Christine, you have a female dog or is it a male dog?
I have me and my male support dog, Tico, who joined us in March just before shutdown, and he just woke up, so he's a little clingy right now. So my name is Kristen Digra. Welcome. Can you repeat for me your first name, Miss Sepulveda?
It's Emineth, but I go by Emmy.
Emmy. Oh, my daughter's name is Emily. So bienvenida. Good morning from Canada, Montreal. It's getting cold. I don't like that, but that's what happens when it's September. And Lex, you're laughing because it's funny. And I was with Air Canada for almost 20 years. I'm very passionate about this industry, but along with millions of other people, I have been encouraged to enter the job market, and I'm struggling with that concept right now. I will inevitably end up working outside the industry, I think, because it's probably just a good idea. But I will take every opportunity to discuss this industry. And I have to be honest, all the job postings I'm looking at right now, the ones that I see have a women's network or also anything who actually sounds like they are not just talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, but actually doing it. Those are the ones that I'm focusing on right now, because beggars can't be choosers, but I can certainly focus my efforts on those who look like they're ready to enter the next, let's say, 10 years of making everyone feel welcome.
And I see it's another premiere because it's the first time that we have an emotional support animal at the Aviation Women panel. Very good. So let's go to Miami again. Nikki.
Good morning. I'm Nikki Wolf. I work for Lufthansa Technics in Miami, and I support our sales team in the Americas with all marketing and event activities. Good to see you all again.
Let's go to Sweden. Anne.
Hello, everybody. Really nice to see you again. I'm Anne Cederpool. I've been working in this industry for 20 plus years in 10 different countries and many different airlines, and now doing consulting, or very little consulting, I would say, that is around in the aviation industry. Pleased to be on the panel again.
Let's go to Ohio, USA. Nicole. No, sorry.
Good morning,
Cleveland.
everyone.
Yeah. Oh, Cleveland is Ohio, isn't it?
Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Good morning, everyone. It's an early morning and it's chilly here, so trying to keep my sweater going and everything else. But I'm happy to be back. And as you can see, I'm in the office today. We're no longer working from home, so it's nice to be back in the office doing what we do. So last month we were kind of on the edge. We didn't know with the industry as it stood, and there was an announcement made that our company will be growing, which is unprecedented, I guess, in these unprecedented times. So busy, as you can see. I'm kind of multitasking and here, but it's great to be back, and I love to see everybody's faces.
Hélène, let's go to France.
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm trying to activate my camera. Otherwise, yeah. How come it doesn't work? Okay. Okay, let me. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know that, right? Well, okay. So sorry. I will try to activate my camera a little bit later on. Yeah, I'm very happy to be part of that panel, all-woman panel, and I'm very glad to be among you. I've been working in the airline industry for, like Anne was saying, 20 plus years. A big part with Air France KLM, and then in a small IT company serving airlines. And I'm ready to share whatever experience that we might have to discuss on.
Let's go back to India. Aditi.
Hi, everyone. It's been a while. I missed the last session, but I'm happy to be back again here today. I've been working with Indigo Airlines in India, and ever since my graduations for the last 10 years, I've been in the aviation industry. So happy to be here.
And I saw Darshini from Kuala Lumpur try to sign in several times. Hopefully she will re-sign again. So great to have you all with us. Also exceptional to have such a global spread from all over the world. And I think we are now since 6 months in this crisis situation. We have talked several times about different topics which are kind of a challenge for female leaders or female workers in the industry. And the question for me is, has something changed in a positive way? Is the crisis somehow helping to change things, or are things still the same like 6 months ago?
If I can quickly just speak on behalf of the people I know who are working for Air Canada, many of whose jobs were told there's no way you could ever do this from home, and they were extremely rigid about it. Well, guess what? They proved that they can not only do them from home, but be incredibly confident and efficient. And the struggle for many of my former colleagues was to separate work from home. So, like many other people, I myself set up at the kitchen table, and then eventually pulled that away to further, away from the main part of the household. I have a very small house, and then eventually set up in my room as a separate office. And a lot of my colleagues went through that same thing. They had to physically distance their office part from their work part, their home part, and many of whom are working at home with small children. I didn't have to do that. My daughter's 16. She's incredibly independent, sometimes a little bit too much. But yeah, so that for me was the biggest takeaway at the beginning was, of course we can do this. Watch, we'll do it. I mean, honestly, is there anything that's put in front of women that we don't manage to figure out? No.
And did somebody from you meet also during this crisis situation one of these suppressing techniques we were discussing earlier, or that some colleagues were not treating you in a respectful manner? Or is the crisis weakening things, and men had to learn that especially women who usually, I don't want to touch cliches now, but usually women take care of the children and of the household and all that stuff, and being in a lockdown situation, I would expect most of the pressure to keep all these things running was still on women and not on men. So was this kind of recognized from the men around you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So some of them have small children, some of them have no children, some of them have older children inside the house or outside the house. Um, I'll have to fall to the mommy groups that I am a part of on Facebook, and was very disheartened to see that a good portion, I didn't survey, but a good portion of women were frustrated that not just the domestic, but the online schooling and a lot of the work fell to them. So any unbalance in the household became much more visible at that point. And I never commented because I'm like, seriously, put on your big girl boots and speak up. You know, it takes two people to make children in many cases. So figure it out, make the work equitable. But yeah, I did see a lot of commenting anecdotally and people I physically know that the workload was inequitable. And I can say, and this is not anecdotal, but from my perspective, one of the jobs that I used to do um, many years ago was we had the freedom to work from home because as long as you have the technology and the correct programs loaded on your computer, whether it's coding in XML or using Word documents, you can do it literally from anywhere. When the direction changed in that group, it was no, we don't trust you. You need to log in, log out. You can't work from home. And then of course, what do you think's happening now? They're proving that they can do it again. So it is what it is. But Emmy wants to say something.
Building a little bit on top of what you said, one of the early opinions that I heard when the pandemic started is that the pandemic made us be locked down with our decisions. And our decisions means the partner that we chose, the decisions that we made about kids, no kids, the decisions that we made about what type of job we wanted to do. And translating that to the work environment, it's pretty much the same thing. We're locked down in a big sphere, but we're locked down with the decisions that we made on who we were hiring and the relationships that we have built when we were in presence. And right now, I think that if at all, it can only make more evident the people who are not willing to cooperate with you will keep not cooperating with you, because now they don't have to see your face every morning. You don't have to bump them into the water cooler, you know? And it's up to you whether you decide that you need or don't need the comparison of that person. It's what I have found.
So I just see that Juliana from Chile joined. Hello, Juliana. Juliana, can you hear us? Probably not.
Hi there.
Good. Good to have
sorry,
you here.
I'm still on my way to a place. That's why I'm connected from the phone. But hi everyone, happy to be here. Sorry for my delay.
No problem. We are living in an on-time performance world where 15 minutes is still being on time, and I think you were signing in 11 minutes, so you are still on time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Nicole, you had a question.
Well, it's not so much that it's a question. I think, you know, as others have stated, everybody was so rigid about you can't do this from home. And finding out that you can schedule from home or you can be able to manage an operation. We have some of the best performance numbers we've ever had in this. And now coming back into the office, it's trying to balance the difference between, you know, you still have the kids at home who are doing online learning, and you have to be in the office to do that. So how do you make sure that you can balance all of that? And one of the things that I took from the last Old Girls Club meeting was, you know, somebody had said, you know, when someone starts to get louder, I get quieter. And there's that relationship where there is a specific person who is very loud. And I've just gotten to the point where I'm just quiet and I just keep talking. I don't let him interrupt me. And he looks at me finally and he's like, oh, okay. And understands, rather than constantly interrupting and not getting the point across. So, I mean, that's was something that's very helpful. And I keep using that with him because that's the only way you're going to get through.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think Anne was also giving several samples the last weeks and months in the panels. Have one of you tried to also apply one of these tactics in a situation like Nicole was just mentioning? Maybe you have some best practice you also like to share, because I think that was one of the ideas, to share best practice in order to have a better environment in the future.
Yes, Daniel, I think we should. Actually, I was planning to list some of those thoughts on our LinkedIn page, right? To get that discussion going. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I mean, I think it's also interesting to discuss that. We can share a different. I mean, Nicole's example there is really good, and I think it's really important, like it is with everything, to try and test, right, what works and what doesn't work. And you know, sometimes, you know, nothing works, like we also discussed last time. When is a good time to get out, right? And when is a good time to leave, or what do you do? And you just have to make sure that you don't suffer yourself, you know, mentally. So that's something I plan to do. We can document some of that on our LinkedIn page. I hope everyone thinks that's a good idea.
Sure.
So, Elaine, you are a new joiner. What motivated you to join this panel? What was the driver behind?
I think she's left the conversation, Elaine, right?
No, I'm here. So sorry, I was on mute. No, first my camera wasn't working, and now I was on mute. So that's too bad. Okay, so the first reason was well, I knew of VHH because I participated to previous session on other topics, but I saw that you and Anne had launched this old ladies club, and I found that interesting, and I also had a conversation with Anne. I think it was last week, right, Anne? And we discussed how interesting it was to share among women and with the same kind of background all around and different experiences. So I wanted to be part of it. So that's why I'm here.
So Lakshmi, if you are now second time in the panel and you have some older girls in the panel, you are maybe one of the younger girls. Is there something which you like to know from the older girls as a weapon for the future arsenal in the conversation with a mean male, maybe?
More experience would be appreciated instead of older.
No, I always, I was always very curious to know how you balance, work and then life, mostly because I really wanted to hear from the women leaders there, and especially during the pandemic, it wasn't an easy transition going online and then at the same time being at home. Kids are at home, so that's like double or triple the work that you do on a normal day. So it's just that I was like hearing about the tips and all. I was just thinking, how would others have managed, because everything has gone online for like 6 months, and there were like lots of memes, and then coming out saying that moms are this, and I would seriously call everyone a super mom or maybe a super wife, because everyone was like managing everyone at home. So, how was it? Was it really hard? Did you just feel a significant, change in your daily routine, or was it manageable?
Well,
I think
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's well, I can only talk for myself, but I think what was key was the sharing with my husband, and also with my kids that are, I'm lucky they are not like 4 years old, so they can also help. So I think that for me the sharing was key and being together. But yeah, of course it depends on your situation.
Sandhya, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell you, Lakshmi. The thing is, when you are a housewife and when you have your duties, there are certain things which are expected of you. Okay, within quotes. So what happens is, when you're in office, it's a given that you're away from home. But when you're at home, when it's breakfast time, when it's lunch time, then they would come and just peep. Okay, can you get the lunch onto the table? And at least when you're around, okay, you're not traveling, you're not in office. So at least when you're around, can that be done? And then sometimes you're in meetings, okay, you have to remind them that you're in office. And then, okay, initially it used to be a little difficult, but after that, slowly, when you try to tell them, see, now I'm in office. And even now, so what I try to do is I try to juggle the thing, and even see, right now it was like we started at 6. So the evening tea time is there. Husband returns from office, and then the tea time is there. So then the tea is expected. And you're supposed to. So I think slowly we'll have to draw the line and tell them that we are in office, because that thought doesn't come in. Though, of course, everybody is aware of the fact that we are at home and we are working from home. There are certain things which might come in, and it's just a couple of reminders, and probably they get used to it. And then they know, okay, meetings and you're not supposed to be disturbed, and those things are. Now, at the work front, I think Nicole or somebody else was telling, there could be that a shade of doubt as to how productive would you be when it comes to working from home. Are you going to really be productive? So if you're not at the system, then you're not there at all. Maybe you're not working. All those things were there. But right now, when you see, we have the sign-in meetings, the sign-off meetings daily on a daily basis. And it's become, actually speaking, the routine is set and it's in place. There's nothing about it. And I think Nicole was saying the same thing. when you look at it, it's more productive. So it's just a concept where we're just getting used to it. And I think slowly we'll have to draw the line. We will have to set expectations. We will have to, try attempting it. And Kristen, what you said is true. Absolutely fine. We can do anything. And we are good at adapting ourselves to any situation, multitasking or whatever it is. I think that's where we are. Okay. Thank you.
So, and you also
I'm not
have
sure if
tea time in Sweden?
Sorry. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I was going to say, well, actually, I want to confess that I'm not good at multitasking. I've never been good at multitasking. So I really, that's super interesting. I just have to live with it and make sure that I concentrate on, one thing at a time. Of course, I'm not in a situation, I don't have any children, so I really can't comment on that, but I'm cracking up at a good friend of mine, one of my closest friends, and he's male, and he's got his 2 girls every second week, and looks, he's divorced. And of course, I've been following and watching, his struggles with homeschooling and trying to cope with the girls interrupting, and it's hilarious. But they're getting quite good at it. So I think it's quite a change, of course, to work from home. Very different. But I wanted to add on the productivity. It's very interesting because personally, I believe when people restrict you, and I think I've given examples in the past that I've actually given up. I've given up a job just because of not being allowed to work from home, which has been very difficult for me because I have a personal situation where my husband is very ill, and just this sort of stubbornness of not having this kind of flexibility. I've also had a job interview where I immediately said, when they said, "Oh, no, we don't support any type of remote working," and of course this digital revolution that has happened now is really proving that, of course, you can work remotely. You can also, of course, be in different countries, or you can, move. The flexibility that this is showing, and I also believe that there is far more productivity, and I think there are so many benefits. We can, in commute to work, and we can save so much time, and there's just so much we can do with this. But I want to come back to what I've noticed with managers who disapprove of remote working. That is usually because of their need to control you, right? They have this this obsession with control, and they want to micromanage. And I really think these people are suffering today. It must be awful for them. Not only do we have an uncontrollable situation in the world, but they can't control the people that they want to control so much. And another observation that I'm also laughing at, I mean, I've worked in a country where it's very common that you don't leave before the boss has left. So you sort of sit there in the evening at 8 p.m. Sort of wondering, when is the boss going to leave? And there's no productivity. These people do nothing. They simply just wait for the boss to leave, and it's absolutely hysterical. And I myself, I just got up and left. That's me. So it's quite hilarious.
Juliana, you had a thought earlier.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, yes, I found it very interesting what everybody said about the difficulties and the challenges of these days. As just, and I'm new here and in the group, but I wanted to also say, to be able to, regardless of having children, not having children, having passed through this has been a great experience, in my opinion, at least. I see it very positively. I have 2 small kids. I live in a different country from my husband. And I had the kids at home. I work in Latam, so airlines have been super busy. And for me, it has been a great experience. And I think we have to look at it at this, right? I think it has been a great opportunity to grow, to also exercise maybe some skills that we didn't even know we had before. And this is, it has been, for me, it has been, now I see it very positively, even though it has been crazy. And I just felt like saying that it is, that I think it's good to stop and reflect and take a look at on the positive side of all this, as I think it has been an opportunity to exercise many skills and many good things also, as empathy, learning how to understand the other, and understanding that people have different challenges in their day-to-day. And even though we are all the same in this new moment now, with similar challenges, it affects people in a very different way, right? So it was more, that was what I wanted to share.
Yeah, but thank you. That's a very good comment, because I'm always saying the same. Every crisis is an opportunity, and we have currently a huge crisis, and therefore also a huge opportunity. Before we go to Christine and Hélène, I have then a question to Sandhya, because Anne said there is now time savings because you don't have to commute by staying home. But on the other hand, knowing the pressure you have to make the tea time for your husband, what is making more pressure on you? The commute and the stress of maybe catching the train or driving with a car, or is the stress at home to prepare the tea time then an easy peasy for you?
When we started off initially, of course, those expectations were not there. But like I said, we are not super women anyway. Okay, I'm not going to prove myself that I'm going to be a superwoman. So I take it easy. I just try to tell them that this is office time, I'm in office. And then it's kind of sunk in. I think now it's fine. Initially, that is, I think mid-March, we started working from home, right? So those times, couple of weeks, this used to be there. And where everybody thinks, oh, the mom is at home and the wife is at home. Okay, then she can set it right. But then I think it just took around 2 weeks. And I didn't want to really prove that I am somebody super great and I can do everything. No, there are things where we'll have to set aside time for. And then these are sessions where you would want to read on your own. There are times when you would want to watch something. I think it's all in place now, right now. So not much of a pressure. But of course, I miss going to office and then connecting with everybody. And one good thing is, at least as far as I'm concerned, managers are also open to it. Initially, they would have been, we are very conservative when it comes to, earlier at least, we were very conservative when it comes to working from home and all those things. Only we used to think about it when somebody is ill, or we try to help them out by giving such a facility. It was not taken for granted, or you couldn't just use it just like that. So they could have been shades of doubt. They could have been, but again, it depends on the managers. So, but then most of it, I think, was okay, because many of us used to get that facility. And if at all they had any shade of doubt, I think that's cleared by now, because kind of perfect and it's in sync. And I think everybody is responsible and trying to finish it. Thankfully, we're able to adapt to this situation. So I guess the pressure is also less on me when compared to earlier times.
I can just give you a sample from my world, because I have a very strong woman at home, and she sends me to an office. So I have to go in a co-working space because she wants to have her freedom. So because she is always asking, when are you finally going to travel and so on. So she wants to have her free time, and I accept this. And of course, I'm a good husband. And so maybe you try this also with your husband next time. So Christine, you had the question.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Anne inspired me. I might have sounded a little jaded earlier. I was just having had the freedom to work from home and doing the exact same job, and then all of a sudden being told, no, that's impossible. It occurred to me that the manager who forbade that had a fear of not knowing what's going on, not being able to validate, quantify, and then all of a sudden being faced with, well, too bad, everybody's working from home. So I think maybe there was a fear there of, I'm accountable to my leadership as a manager for my group. How am I going to prove to them? How am I going to know that what is being accomplished is actually being accomplished? Which really was baseless, because that my former role as a technical writer was very quantifiable. If a document is finalized, reviewed, approved, and published, you're done, right? But I can, excuse me, I can imagine that many other managers in similar situations with work that is less task-based would have a huge fear of, my head's on the chopping block if things don't go well, especially in the aviation industry. So thank you, Anne, because it occurred to me that I hadn't looked at it from the other side. And let's face it, it's time to be generous with other people. And as Sandia said, learning empathy, or practicing your empathy on a daily basis, I think is also important.
So Elaine raised her hand, Lakshmi, you raised your hand, and Fatima. So maybe we start with Elaine, then Lakshmi, and then Fatima.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Listening to you all, I was thinking to myself also that, well, I don't know about all your life, but as far as I'm concerned, I was traveling along a lot, and my husband was traveling a lot, and so by having this was like a unique situation where the whole family was all together, and so it was also the opportunity to take a step backwards and probably realizing that we can set our priority differently, and really choose what's important for us and do that right, because we have probably more time because of this unique situation. And so it gives us also time to make the right choice. And so that was also, somebody talked about something that it was really positive. Yeah, I really think that there was a positive side of the situation, because of that, being allowed to have our priorities set the right way.
Lakshmi.
Just two things. Anne was talking about micromanagement. Clearly, I was thinking about it because, while we are at office, that's the perfect time for managers to, really micromanage. And then it was indeed, a tough time for them. I completely agree. But then other thing I was really, curious about is, since we saved a lot of time from, commuting, and then, doing all the stuff, getting ready for work. So it's pretty much we are working from home. So did you face any challenge, like, your office, from the office, there is a pressure for you to stretch your working hours since you are at home and you have the flexibility to stretch? So did you have to like stretch your working hours, and then have, was there a need for you to sacrifice on self-care? Sometimes this happens. So, while we are at it, we never think of, we always think of taking care of others, and then we compromise on self-care. So does it ever happen to you? That's what I really want to know.
Fatima, do you want to respond on that one, or you have another thought?
I have another thought. I can also answer, but I mean, yes, I agree with Lex that sometimes this is a situation lets us, let our things behind and give more time to the rest, because we understand that now we have more time, you have more flexibility, and you can use this time to do other things. But in fact, it's not for ourselves, but for the others, and that's the problem. And that's what I think. That was my experience. Regarding, for example, the micromanagement, I had an experience which was very interesting, because, as you all said, there is a control need, but in my case, for example, the control remained in a certain way, not only for the women, but for everybody. What happened is that instead of having a few meetings during the week or things like this, we started the confinement by having video conference calls every hour. It was incredible. I had no time to have lunch. I have no time to, to do anything because every team had a meeting and another meeting, and I was invited to all the meetings, so I had no time. So I worked a lot more. I was glad in a certain way that I don't have children, so that I didn't have to, to spend so much time. But in fact, it was that. And another thing that I think it's curious that we started to discuss at the beginning with this, this confinement was that, there are going to be lots of divorce situations because this is a new experience. People, men and women, they are not used to be together so many hours. And this is also, I think, a new experience and that enriches everyone because and prepares us for the when we retire and everybody gets together. It's not anything anymore that you get too busy or too upset with your husband that is always at home. So I think all this is very interesting because can manage and discuss with our husband at the beginning because he's on your side. We need to have time. You need to understand I'm at the office. Although I'm at home, I don't have the time for everything. But even if they share the tasks, this is my small experience, I would say, men are always reliable on the planning of the women. I mean, they share, they help, but you still need to plan what needs to be done, what needs to be bought, and things like this. So this is my experience during this time. But it's interesting. I mean, one thing that I understood is that at the beginning, you really need to learn how to live 24 hours, 7 days a week, and that I think is also an experience that everybody is taking stronger and learning a lot from that. And I think the thing that the divorce is going to happen, I don't think is happening. It's not, but I think it was a very good experience in that sense.
But I heard that in China they had some growing figures on divorce. Yeah, that was
maybe later, maybe we have a different result. Yes, not yet.
But it will be also interesting to see because I learned in the Virtual Happy Hour 3.0 presentation from Latvia, there is one day in June where the only goal is to get naked and to have something together, if you understand what I mean. Right. That's why a lot of people are born in Latvia in March. So it will be interesting to see whether we will have a lot of newborn people around January, March next year because couples will spend more time together or whether they have a higher divorce rate.
Yeah.
Emmy, you had a comment and then we go to Nikki.
Yes, thank you. Building a little bit on empathy that somebody was, I think it was Helen that was mentioning, I find myself more effective on building empathy if I turn on the camera. I know that it's a stretch for us that we are not always in our best mood, presentation, or desire to turn on the camera. But I honestly, and this is very personal, I miss the people that I work with. And I tend to turn the camera on, even if it's just a one-on-one or if it's just a few people, whenever it's possible and whenever technology is not, struggling with the audio and making everyone sound like a robot. Turn on your camera. You can gain so much more context and you can see so much from your colleagues if you turn on the camera. And the other one thing I wanted to comment on was on Lex's stretch. If we were seeing the need to stretch working hours, I think that we need to set boundaries, and that's a very personal thing to do. And the same boundaries that we need to set to avoid the burning urge to go downstairs and put on a laundry load at your working hours, that you need to focus on work, and you need to that same urge you need to draw a line in not answering email at very late hours. Do not wake up in the middle of the night to answer an email that someone from another time zone sent. You are the only person that can draw those lines.
And I see, Emmy, you could encourage Juliana to switch on the camera. Very good.
I'm glad I'm influencing someone.
Nikki.
No, that's absolutely right. I actually forgot because I already arrived, but I forgot to turn on the camera. So it was a good comment. I love it.
I'm guilty too because I keep turning it off because it's so early morning and I'm still juggling my breakfast, my pets. So you would just see me going like this all the time. Yeah, I also wanted to comment what Lex said. I probably, in contrary to all of you, I still clock in and out. Okay, so for me, when I'm in the office or when I go to the office, I of course I need to get ready. I have the commute and everything, but at the same time, my working hours are very defined then. And when I work here at home, I get to the computer very early, but you don't stop then after a certain time. But you always do things in between, so you don't know when you can stop working or when not. Or actually, you start what Emmy just said. You start answering emails at night because you think, I might as well, since I'm just sitting on the sofa. While when I'm in the office, I could also just say, you know what, I did all my hours, I'm done. So that's one thing. And I used to come to to home or to the home office in the past when I needed some quiet time from the office, when I needed to prepare events and it was too much traffic in the office. Now I'm lucky that I can go to the office right now if I want to, because it's very close and we are open for us to use it. It's not open for everybody to get back, but now I do it the other way around to not get distracted at home. I sometimes just go to the office because I'm there literally by myself, and then I can work in peace. So there are some pros and cons with the whole thing. I also miss the colleagues a lot, so it's not that much fun after such a long time to be doing home office. But at the same time, we all have no choice, so we should embrace that we have the opportunities and we have the chances to do that. Because if you're, I don't know, on the front line, you have to be at the front line, and if you can't, then you're out of job. So I think find the right balance and set your boundaries.
That's a very interesting comment because knowing that almost all my Indian-based colleagues are in a very strict lockdown and knowing that they don't have access maybe to the quickest internet and having to take care of children, husband and so on, I consider this. So I would never then push for a meeting at times where I believe they spend time with the family and so on. So what is your experience? You have a similar feel that also the male colleagues are taking care of this and avoid certain times where they should know that's exactly dinner time, this is breakfast time, or do they somehow make use of this very high productivity and that everybody is now available?
I can say something quick. The fact that everybody, now that we are on home office duty, it doesn't matter where you work from. So we're very flexible, liberal right now in our company. Like if I want to fly home to Germany or home, if I want to fly to my parents, I could also work from there. And we do all try to adapt to each other, that we say, look, we try to be available for meetings. We're not going to set a meeting at 3 a.m. in the morning, Miami time, if it's not necessary, So I think there are ways of taking these special moments into consideration when it's about lunch, dinner, breakfast, if it's possible.
Juliana, you said we have very busy times. You go also through a business transformation process. LATAM is a large organization. Okay, you are all in the same time zone, but still there are a lot of countries and different customs here and there. How are you managing all this in this group of airlines?
Yeah, so happy to comment. Much easier today than it was in the beginning. In the beginning, it was we were all learning how to do this, and I saw many times some male colleagues being I'm not sure if the word is nasty, but I not play nicely and not position some things nicely, especially to other women when boys or children would interrupt, for example. But I think we have learned one thing that I learned definitely that I'm doing, and I also respect my team when they do. It is to speak up. If I cannot do something in a certain time, or not okay with that, I'm just gonna say it. I think before on the dynamic that we were all together in the room, those things maybe were easier or maybe was not needed. But now, and I've been saying that a lot, talking a lot with on that with my team. We have to speak up, right? Because it's very hard to read body language. We have different complexities and we have different challenges, everyone. So that is one thing that I think, for example, it's very important. And also organize the agenda. And I heard, and I fully believe I had the same problem that someone mentioned here, that we thought was one meeting after the other, not even a break to go to the toilet. And I had that a lot. And now I have breaks in my schedule that are repetitive every day for lunch. And I have one in 30 minutes in the middle of the morning, 30 minutes in the middle of the afternoon, and I block it after 6, and I block it before 8. And then I don't accept any meetings there unless I have to, and then an open exception. And that's the way that I found to have those slots and protect my life, my day-to-day, right? It has been already super crazy. So not sure if it helps, but that is how I would say. I think it's very important to talk at this time and also to agree on the dynamics, right? So it is very challenging, and I'm really sorry, and I feel very bad when I see that people that don't have the empathy on the other side to understand that whatever is the challenge that someone has and do not take it into consideration. It kills me when I see it, and usually I fight. But I think that's what we have to keep pushing, right? To find the balance, be in the office eventually, or being from home, but find the balance to have a healthy and good way of working through this period, which has been crazy and challenging enough.
That's a good comment. Some of you might know that I'm drinking a lot of water every day, and that puts pressure on parts of my body where I have to go to the bathroom, and then I have to refill also my water. That's why I'm always scheduling, instead of a 60 minutes meeting, only 55 minutes, and then I have these 5 minutes where I can run. And when it comes to empathy and body language, that might be a feature I like to get from MS Teams, that we are seeing the heart rate of every attendee. Maybe I'm saying something where I see your heart rate goes up, or I'm saying something where I expect your heart rate should go up and I'm seeing it's going down. Maybe that's another feature where digital technology can help us to identify feelings and missing feelings and so on. Christine, what's your thought on this? Would you disclose your heart rate in an MS Teams call?
You're on mute. You're on mute, Kristen.
Thank you, Nikki. I had put my camera off so I could run and get more coffee. I had to run back. My heart rate is visible by my body language. I'm laughing, I'm grimacing, I'm watching this on my neck, which I hate. So yeah, I think would I disclose it? In my case, it wouldn't be necessary. It's obvious. I wear my humor on my face, but it would be interesting to know. Some people have no facial expressions. It would be interesting to know, are they listening? Are they, going, oh my God, I wish this person would shut up. Oh, I disagree. Thinking about their grocery list. It would be interesting to know that. It would be very interesting. And since you called on me, I will mention that at the very beginning, I was seconded away from my own group to the corporate safety team to help set up a virtual call center that would be activated in the event of an accident or an incident, an aircraft accident or incident. I was previously a volunteer with the special assistance team. And actually, before I left the company, spoke to one of my colleagues in corporate safety and said, I know that retirees are allowed to continue to be volunteers. I said it would behoove you, having lost this many people and this many trained volunteers, to perhaps allow not retirees, but we call them involuntary separated, employees. So anyway, at the beginning, I was doing crazy hours, but very, very much willingly. I mean, I think we had conference calls that were from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. and then jumping on a training at night, sometimes, to accommodate different time zones, because obviously Air Canada being a global company, we tried to have calls that would not force people in the UK or Ireland to be up, too early, things like that. Um, Honestly, I felt guilty because of the reason we were working from home. I was having a blast. It was so much fun setting up the virtual call center. I had not worked in telecommunications in 20 years. And having been tasked with it, I felt very, I sat up straighter in those days and I felt very responsible for what was going on. And I was very proud to find out that Air Canada was the only airline that had thought to set up a virtual call center. What are you going to do? You literally can't have people go into your call center and physically put on their headsets. So that was fun that we never should have been able to have. But in every crisis, there's an opportunity. And with that, I'm going to get more coffee, but I am listening.
But Christine, I can give you a hint. I have a small device which is putting my computer a bit higher because, as you rightly say, it's not optimal to be shot from down. So that's why as higher you put the camera, as better is it. I think that's also how all these Instagram influencers taking pictures. That's one thing. And the next thing is that you should minimize the MS Teams. Then it appears bottom down, and then you move up the thing under the camera because then you have really eye contact because we all have the natural tendency to look on our own picture. So when it comes on getting empathy, having a more personal virtual call experience, there we can come closer to a real conversation. So these are some.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I'm doing it from my phone because my daughter is doing virtual school. The poor thing, she's been stuck here for 2 weeks now. How boring is that to be in your bedroom during school? So when I have access perhaps to her computer, I think I will try that. And I'm still learning how to use MS Teams. I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at Jasna, right now I'm looking at Fatima. Looking away from your own face is a challenge. Definitely.
That's true. But that's the beauty of this thing. If we try to come together in person, we would potentially never succeed in the past. And now we can easily schedule such a call, and everybody is somehow available, can quickly join. And I think that's the beauty, and that's one of the positive takeaways from this crisis, because before it was not possible, or people said, no, I'm so busy, I have to travel, and now almost everybody can do it. That's some of the positive takeaways from the last 6 months.
100%. We had been using Teams for a long time, but because the bandwidth on site at the company apparently was more expensive, or crowded the network more, we would use Teams, but we wouldn't use the visual function. So I really appreciate the visual function. I don't know how they're using it now, but I think it's very beneficial, and I've enjoyed the other calls that I've been able to be involved in. And not only that, and I think I've mentioned this before, I've sent my mom some of the links to the YouTube, and she's really enjoyed watching some of the calls as well. She's a former Air Canada, Trans Canada Airlines employee back from the 60s. So I wouldn't have had that ability had we not had these visual calls as well. So it's pretty cool.
So without playing again with cliches, usually I know Colombian ladies are very talkative. And today, the Colombian guest is very shy. Happened to me.
I agree.
I'm very shy, perhaps because at the beginning you guys were talking about families, and at the moment I don't have a partner and I don't have kids, so I was just listening to the struggles of the girls in the group, more than having an opinion. But I was thinking whether male companions would value their tasks more or not, and what came to my mind was. I don't know, Nikki, if you notice when we go to the office, it's only a couple of us. Usually we were like almost 200, I don't know, and now it's like 7. But out of those 7, you always see the same guys. And those are the guys that have women and children at home, and they're just escaping. So I can only hope
course.
they can value the job of their partners, wives, and the, the kids, and the struggle the kids are having with this homeschooling. But they escape. When you go, they're always there religiously, and it's the usual suspects. But from others in my team, I think they tend to appreciate the job of the woman. Oh, I see Juliana's little daughter. How cute. I have to think they do appreciate.
Okay, sorry. Hi, this is
Hello.
Isadora.
Hola,
Future,
Isadora.
future women professional.
Hola.
She's late for her music class, so I have to help her. Sorry.
Of course. Okay. So yeah, what I was saying is I do think they appreciate the task of the women more because now they live it. Now they can see day to day what we or you guys struggle with, and maybe they feel more engaged to help. Maybe they just appreciate that more. I can only hope. And as for the video uh, option that this MS Teams has, I think is amazing. Because I see the difference in the mood of meetings when you have the camera on and when you don't have it. For business topics, right? When the camera's on, the connection with the people is there. You remember that you like your colleagues. You remember they're human beings. You see where they are, where they are when they show their backgrounds. So there's an instant connection, and then you go into the topics, and the mood is different as to when you don't have a camera. So that's yeah, those are the 2 points I was reflecting on. Yeah.
Ladenka, you joined. We agreed that you're not switching on the camera. But how is currently you in Montenegro or you're Mauritius at the moment?
I'm still in Montenegro, and sorry about the camera. You know that I'm not camera shy, but I have a bit of a problem with one of my eyes, so I don't want to share that part with all of you. Not today. In Montenegro, I don't know, for the COVID, things got worse, much worse. So the numbers that we are having now are quite high. For the moment, health system is still supporting that because not many people need to go to hospital for the treatment, which is good. But taking into account that we are a country of 620,000 people and that we are having about 300 new cases every day, you can imagine that it's a bit tricky. For the moment, companies here are still asking people to come to work, or they go to the office with, of course, all the precautions and having mask and keeping distance as much as they as they can do. So we are trying to maintain business as usual life, which is quite not easy. In my other country that I'm far away from, they seem to have still a normal life because they don't have any COVID active cases and they have their borders closed. So for what I can see from the office, they are back in a normal setting. They do their meetings and everything. So for me, it's funny because we do Teams call, of course. They are all there, they see each other, and it's only me. As they joke with me, you are a voice from afar. We don't do as many of video calls because the problem with the internet connection between here and Mauritius and Reunion likewise is that it gets delayed picture. And this is the technology issue that I'm seeing because of the distance and because of the infrastructure, which is maybe not at the same level as it is here, where I don't have a problem with calls when I'm talking to you guys. With Reunion and Mauritius, it's slightly different because of the how connection is done. And we try to do face calls, but then we kind of lowered it down because it really doesn't work, because in middle of the call you get frozen, and that's the last thing what you can see. Does it work remotely? Yes, it does, but it works remotely with one big factor thing to be taken into account, and this is we all know each other. We are used to work with one another. There are no new people, and honestly, at this moment, taking that I have a kind of lead role as well, I don't know how would I deal with somebody who's completely new and is not used to my way of working or the level of the detail or the time that I want to spend on some of the tasks. It's standalone team, so it's kind of okay. What's going on your side? Are you okay? What's going on your side, guys? Can we work? and that's pretty much it. But otherwise, keeping new people, yeah, that would be quite a big challenge. On the other side, yes, teams have been a saver. So with Danielle's initiative here, I kind of miss a little bit less traveling, as I used to travel a lot because I met all of you splendid people and we are networking and exchanging, and I really like that. You hear different things and you exchange your experience, and I really liked that part of my job. So yeah, life goes on. Let's see until when, because this has been a strange year so far.
So that's a good comment. So Emmy and Juliana, we have the Virtual Happy Hour 3.0, in which we make country presentations. So almost everybody here in this session has already presented his country. So we would be delighted to learn more about Mexico and Chile. So I'm going to contact you on a separate note. I will send you a link that you can see how Australia and Portugal and Venezuela and so on has been presented. And then maybe you also want to do that in one of the upcoming weeks and months.
Perfect. I'm a Brazilian living in Chilean, so we have to choose between Brazil. What should I talk about?
Do Chile, because we had already Brazil, but on the other hand, we are just making another spin-off, which is Virtual Happy Hour 3.5. And we are starting with a colleague who's based in Germany, but she's from India. So she is presenting Germany, and Lakshmi, who is also from India but based in Australia, is making Australia presentation. So you can do both. You can present Chile as a Brazilian under the 3.5, or you make it under 3.0. So it's your choice. So we have said in this time communication is very important, and I'm also a big fan of that. But on the other hand, you're also hearing more and more people are tired from all these virtual calls and webinars and so on. So how to find the right balance between having enough communication for the bonding, for sharing maybe thoughts and experience, and not to overdo too much, because we said earlier, people need to have a break and they have also private life. So what's your fear? Do we have too many of these calls now and we have to step back? Or is it good that we have almost every day and every hour these kind of communication?
You're talking about our professional life goals, you're saying. Yeah, well, yes. In my case, for example, what we did is that we were really very tired of not seeing everybody and of not having presential meetings. So what we did was every 2 days or every week we go 1 or 2 days to the office and we decide to have a meeting with the management team so that we decide more strategic actions and discuss, in front of each other with the social distancing, of course, and security measures. But we try to do that, and it's really being a balance in terms of what we do, in terms of all the remote calls, but we have also this balance of meeting people and discuss with our colleagues what kind of strategic decisions we need to do and if we need some adjustments or not. Because sometimes when we have these calls, you do a lot of discussions and you have people from different areas, and sometimes you're not able to do and discuss and align everything. And I miss the fact that we need to see the people and talk to them, and not being at our table, and then suddenly I remember this and said, hey, don't forget that and that. And this is something we can do in a remote call. It's a mixture that is working very well for now.
And who of you was traveling the recent weeks? Somebody who nobody traveled anymore?
Not me.
Frustrating.
I traveled this week, actually. I went from Chile to Sao Paulo. And I will travel tomorrow from Sao Paulo to Rio because I need to see the operation at the airport there. But I don't know, what are you curious to hear about the traveling? I feel really safe at the airport. And it's my fifth trip during the pandemic period, and I have no issues. But At least I see that people are very conscious, but I'm not sure what is the question that you have on that.
No, I traveled last time in March, and I'm also missing traveling. On the other hand,
yes.
very often, even if you offer to travel somewhere, people say, "Ah, no, we are not allowing external guests in our office." That can be an issue. Or no, there are border limitations, or you have to quarantine and all that stuff. So that's why even if you want to travel, sometimes it's not that easy. So that's the question: what is the outlook for the future? What is the panel thinking will be soon the new normal, and when are we going to start to travel again?
Unlike you, I had an invitation from my dear friends from Air Serbia to join them, because as they said, not many people are coming to the office, so they were like, you can have a desk, you can have all facilities, just come over. And it was really funny because it was just beginning of establishing flights between Serbia and Montenegro. And at the end, the only reason that actually prevented me was that situation between the countries changes really fast, pretty much every 2 weeks. So nobody could actually guarantee to me that I can go back to my country when I want it. So this is something, until it is resolved in a better way, that for me is a blocker. It's not about that I'm afraid to travel or that I won't do all the necessary measures to be safe, or that I won't feel safe with any of the airlines that I used to fly with. It's just you leave and then you get a notification either from your country or the country that you are in stating that measures changed. And then if you don't go away, then you are stuck where you are. So this is a bit of a problem for me to continue doing what I was doing and what I missed so much from March, as Daniel said.
And Christine, I hope you have your coffee back, because camera switched off, so hopefully you can hear us. How is currently your experience while being on a job search? Is this at the moment a challenge to be a female candidate, or exactly maybe supporting that you have more interviews and response? What's your experience in that time?
I'm only at the beginning of my job search, and I'm very transparent, so you're going to get the whole answer. So in the last few days, I have been depressed. People were very shocked at how positive I was and how, not bitter I was about it. Well, I guess there's different stages of mourning, and I'm starting to get to the why in the bloody hell did this have to happen to me? Now, it's not fair because my whole family's healthy, although I don't know when the next time I'll see my parents, because we are allowed to travel within the country. But God forbid I should go and bring something to my father, who he's had 3 strokes. He's been in the hospital. The last place we want him to be is the hospital again, because I think his dementia is getting pretty bad. So even just talking to him on the phone is difficult. So anyway, so Kristen's mental state is not as positive as it had been in the last little while. And I found out that the career advisors, I guess you'd call them, that we were all set up with, those of us who were severed. One of my colleagues has been reaching out to me, and he asked for a full CV review. I didn't know that. I didn't know I could do that. I worked on my CV myself. So honestly, I was pissed off that I didn't receive the same level of service. So I'm getting a bit bitter, and I'm getting a bit, not discouraged, because I haven't put my toe into the job pool yet. But let's face it, there are millions of people within Canada, even if I'm looking at remote jobs, so outside the country, who are unemployed. And I'm not a digital expert. I'm not a data scientist. I'm not any of those things. So in my field, which is process engineering, there are a lot of us out there. Now, on the flip side, I've had 2 contacts from headhunters recently. One was for a tech writing temporary gig with Morgan Stanley, which they offered to someone else. Cool. It was still something I didn't have to initiate myself, so it came to me. And I had another headhunter reach out for a business process analyst job. I didn't answer the email yet because even with someone who's not currently employed, there should be a start time and an end time to your day. And 10 o'clock at night, I don't think is the time to start answering those types of emails, you know? So, I've been very grateful for the calls where I've had to use my brain. The other calls with, I don't remember his name, Daniel, but the other fellow, Ian, I guess his name was, who we'd had calls with recently, and had been on one of those calls as well. I've been grateful for those because they've kept my brain going, and it's getting a little too quiet for me now. So, like I said, ask me a question, you're going to get the whole answer, right?
Please make your bookings for the virtual happy hour. We have still slots available.
I do.
And you have a comment on that.
Yeah, kudos to Kristen there, because it's just so great that you share and you're willing to share how difficult it can be and challenging. And I mean, these times, this is just it's just really surreal and crazy. The problem over here in Europe, of course, is this the changed messages almost on a daily basis on what country opens up, which one doesn't, and it's all this. I think it's just information overload. I was discussing that yesterday. That it's just really too much, isn't it? That the UK's pubs are now going to close at 10 at night instead of 11 at night, and you sort of it's just information from all over, and something that I find extremely depressing is the lack of harmonization, I would say, within the EU. You really thought that there would be more of some kind of a broader outlook at all of this. So I find that also extremely depressing, and I'm not a person who gets depressed very easily, but I must confess that it's getting to me.
I have to admit the same. So I remember in March, I was also having like a roller coaster ride. You wake up in the morning, you open the news, and there was no good news. Then a little bit in June, I had the feel, things are improving. Sometimes you're reading New Zealand is at 70% or 90% of the domestic travel. Finally. Then you read Vietnam is opening, they start to fly. Then you read no, lockdown again, border closure. Now I'm reading a lot about US elections, which are also not very much encouraging. So I would like to have good news. Because I think we need this, and still I'm seeing the glass half full, not half empty. But sometimes it's difficult. Yeah? So hopefully, Christine, we can bring you together with somebody who is exactly looking for your passion, your energy, and your talents, and then that would be good.
That is music to my ears, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate the opportunity to spill my guts, as it were, because my poor kid is not the, she didn't have fun with me yesterday. I'll tell you that. I warned her. I said, "Mommy's in a really crappy mood right now." But on a more serious note, and you made me think. Our pubs, our bars, are going to be closing early. We have two areas, not my area, thankfully, but two areas in Quebec. Quebec is still the worst performer for COVID for the entire country. We've got I believe, double the deaths and double the infections. And I firmly believe that our Prime Minister and our Education Minister don't know what the hell they're doing. They've opened the schools completely. We've had, I think, upwards of 300 positive cases from the schools. They've been open for not quite, I guess, 2 weeks now. So three areas around in Quebec are at orange, red being the worst lockdown. It's not a good sign. They're not handling it properly. Ontario, on the other side, is offering online instruction to whoever needs it. Canada, as a federally, has given a lot of money to all of the provinces to do something with their education. Quebec's just not using it. I think Quebec is taking a page from my neighbors to the south in terms of we have to open the economy, we have to keep the economy going. I get it, but our kids and our citizens are being used as guinea pigs, and it's making me sick. It's really, so when it comes to my own personal stuff, I have severance, I'm fine. I guess I should focus on the job thing because the COVID thing is still really depressing and really upsetting, and there's nothing I can do about it. So every once in a while when I see a posting, I think, ooh, that looks like something that might actually have an impact on, I don't know, the health of my neighbors and citizens. I want to look at that.
Jazenka, how is the situation in London? You are so quiet today. Very unusual.
This is emotional. I was just listening to the stories and really got it emotionally, really bad in some way, because just thinking about how it looks like, I empathize with everyone. I've been in different situations throughout my life. But now having a small children, it just can't stop, interruption, things like that. How you manage that, how it depends. I don't know the kind of jobs, everybody does. It's different. Family situations are different. And but for everyone, actually, in different ways, it's very hard to manage it. And if I would can say anything, which is difficult probably to do, is that discipline. Maybe that time that we spared on traveling or something, to give yourself a little bit of space to be on your own. Is it a night during the, not during the night, but before going to bed or sleep, or in the morning or early in the morning, just need some space. I don't want to maybe meditate. That can really be discouraging for many people, but find a way to look at something you like to look at, or just being quiet, or just but be disciplined, but finding some half an hour a day to be yourself, to think about what is going to happen, and how, are you going to cope with things, but not about the problems, because you'll have lots of them coming in, but just something maybe nice, maybe read something, maybe just watch something you like at this little time that you anyway spared, somewhere. That's what I think everybody should do at this time, because we don't know how long it is going to last. This is a transition, big transition, and change in all our lives. And here in the UK, we don't know how strict it is going to become, and things like that. But we just need to find a way out and some strength. Women, I think, are good in finding that, and a man as well, but maybe some little more, a little bit more help from other sides. If you have a family organization of life and saying, we are going to do this and this and this, maybe a little bit different, everybody will be happier. So that's my sort of advice, if you can give any advice at this time. But I really wish, this is such a brave, it takes courage to go through this. And I'm amazed when this everybody was talking about, and how sharing their experiences. Amazing.
Thank you, Jazenka. Maria, you have a question on that or comment?
I have or two things I wanted to say. I wanted to thank Christine for being so open, because it's not easy to be vulnerable in public. And I do appreciate that, because we can connect easily to what she's going through, even though we're not going through the same. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Christine. And also, when I heard Jasna, maybe I wanted to share what I do to be grounded and to get away from the stress, because I'm an extremely anxious person, and uncertainty really gets me. Not having everything under control, like, really annoys me, and not knowing what's going to happen with my job, the industry I work for, my family that's in Colombia. So I do ceramics. So I wanted to share this with you. I'm an engineer, but I also am an artist. Nikki has already one piece that I made for her. And this really keeps me grounded because when I go to the studio and I do my there you go.
Oh,
That's
very
my
nice.
gift.
I
Yes.
can vouch for her. She does really beautiful shit. Oh, pardon my French.
So this has been helping me. Going to the ceramic studio that is open to public, and we all work with masks, and having this interaction with people that are outside of the industry. So this gives me a little bit of fresh air and work with something that, I have no stress on producing. Just I have fun doing it, and I enjoy giving my pieces to people. So I gave this last one to Nikki, or like for Christmas last time, for example, I gave a little mug to my boss, and this makes me happy. So I wish you guys would find something that can, work as ceramics works for me in these uncertain times. Yeah.
I just want to reinforce that. I think this is a great advice, actually. I think finding something that you love doing and then take your brain out of the day-to-day craziness. It is. I am super crafty and I do a lot of things, and I have a second degree as also on as a chef, so I love cooking. So doing those things and taking the time to do those things, it's mandatory in my opinion. Find whatever it is, and yes, invest some time and make sure, and if you have kids and then you manage to involve the kids, even better. But I love your advice because I think it's absolutely needed. At least for me, it is as well.
Amy, you raised your hand.
Yes, something that keeps me sane in all this craziness is remember that the pandemic is not something that happened to me. The pandemic is not happening to you as an individual. It's happening to everyone, and we're all in the same illness, but we're not all in the same boat. Some are in a canoe, some are in a yacht, and we need to play with the pieces that we were given, and we need to play with the same game but with different pieces. And something that really can help is to start paying attention, first of all, to you. Pay attention to you, to the signs of exhaustion, to the signs of extreme burnout, because you need to be well first. It's like in the airplanes. You need to put your mask on first before helping others. Same thing. You need to pay attention to you and make sure that you are well taken care of before you can help others. And after you're paying attention to yourself, pay attention to people around you, how they're experiencing this. I think that the kids are very resilient. They put up with whatever we tell them to do. If we're telling them not to go out, they won't go out. Teenagers is a little bit harder because they should be living their lives right now. They should be going there, meeting friends, getting boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, and they're not. So pay attention first to you, then to the people around you. And in order to do this, there's some very hard things that we need to do, right? Like not being a zombie, like not being a social media zombie. Start opening your eyes and listening and paying attention. And finally, once you have heard them, listened to them, understood what's needed, then you need to put action to it, and then you need to do the things that you like, the things that you enjoy, and put some action to it. I think that everybody will live their pandemic in their own personal way, and your kids and your family will remind this as one of two: the best time that they spend with their parents, or the worst time that they spend with their parents. So it's up to every one of us to define how it will be. I thank you for the opportunity of being here. I really enjoyed the talk and listening to you all. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Amy. And I think we also now at the end of this fourth Aviation Women panel. I have to say thank you. I'm really amazed about this ambience, this faith, and the spirit. And I hope we can schedule another one, maybe under the label of the Old Girls Club. I think that's also a very good initiative from Anne. And so I wish you.
I was wondering,
Yes.
can we just make sure that we try to get some more members to join our Old Girls Club? That would be great. Just
I'm sharing this everywhere. I know, and we have already some new members, and I think our goal should be to have 100 members by the end of this year. I think in the group we are already 40, so I think we are at 50, 60, because not everybody is maybe a member of this group. But I think it's a great initiative, and we should support each other and also helping each other if there's an opportunity to get a new job or to also get some new ideas how to fight the stress. I appreciate very much this conversation. I learned a lot from you, and I wish you a very nice rest of the day, also rest of the week, and please stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much.